Okay, so Arsenal take on Barcelona in the final game of our USA tour. That fixture has been confirmed. Barca will turn up. Barca will actually show up, despite the fact that they had an illness bug that was causing a bit of problems. They will show up for the friendly. What we are doing in this video is a very difficult task for me to do a combined 11 with FC Barcelona and Arsenal. Now, why it's a very difficult one? Look, we've done combined 11s with clubs like Manchester City, where Arsenal have one or two players in the lineup. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But it's the first time we will be doing a combined 11 with a team in Europe, with a team that we could potentially play with in the UEFA Champions League. So we are literally getting geared up for the UCL previews, for the UCL combined 11s, and it really feels nice. It absolutely really feels nice. So what you're going to do here is we're going to do a combined 11 with less bias, right? I'm going to add very little bias because I do love Barcelona and I do support Arsenal, of course. So little bias, less bias. Let me know in the comment box below, without any bias, what would be your starting 11 if you combine these two teams at the moment? What would be Arsenal and FC Barcelona's combined 11? So let's get into it. In goal, I've gone with Marc-Andre ter Stegen over Aaron Ramsdale. And there's so many reasons why I've gone with Marc-Andre ter Stegen. I've always rated him as a goalkeeper. I've always thought he's a classic goalkeeper. I've always thought that he's a very good goalkeeper. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers I've seen in Europe when it comes to 1v1 situations. Like when an attacker is through on goal, Marc-Andre ter Stegen is one of the unbeatable goalkeepers. I think his distribution is very good. I think the longevity he's spent with Barcelona exemplifies how good he has been, because they've been in some kind of a transition. They've been changing players here and there, try and fail. So many players have come and failed, but Marc-Andre ter Stegen has established himself as one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. I would actually rate him among the top 5-6 goalkeepers in Europe. Maybe Courtois, Alisson would come a little bit ahead of him, and I would also consider goalkeepers like maybe the goalkeeper at Atletico Madrid, maybe. But I think ter Stegen is a very good goalkeeper. He's a very wonderful goalkeeper. So I think Ramsdale still has a lot to learn, and he will eventually get there, right? So there is no bias in this. If any day Arsenal were to use ter Stegen over Aaron Ramsdale, I wouldn't actually have any thoughts. And I think he can also save a penalty. Ramsdale can't. So 1-0 to FC Barcelona. At right back, we have Julian Timber. Okay, at centre back. Let's start off with the centre backs here, because that's what they are giving me as options. At centre back, so they play with Christensen at times, Ronald Araujo at times, and Gerard Piqué, of course, has now retired from football. So I think we'll go with Ronald Araujo and Christensen. That is the centre-back partnership. So there is no world where you tell me that Christensen is a better centre-back than William Saliba. So I'm going to stick William Saliba in there. I think he starts for Barcelona. I think he would start alongside Ronald Araujo. I'm sorry, I don't think Gabriel Magalhaes is any better than Ronald Araujo. So I think Ronald Araujo is a player that we can all agree upon. He's going to be in that centre-back partnership. Araujo and Saliba are probably the best young centre-backs in the world right now. I mean, there are a couple of other names. Like I really do like Ben Mobadeshare at Chelsea. But when you look at what William Saliba has done at Arsenal last season, and what Ronald Araujo actually is capable of, I think they're one of the best. They're one of the best centre backs in the world, because there is Bastoni as well. Okay, so Ronald Araujo in that back line together with William Saliba. Now we've both played last season with right backs that are centre backs. So Ben White or Jules Koundé. Ben White or Jules Koundé. Koundé has played at right back for FC Barcelona most of the time, and White has played for Arsenal as a right back most of the time last season. But I'm going to go with Koundé. I'm going to go with Jules Koundé. And this is not for the capability of playing at right back, this is just he's generally a better player than Ben White. Now, Barcelona last season conceded only, I think, 20 goals. They were about to concede just 15, but since they won the league, they let their guard a little bit down. But I think Jules Koundé is one of the top centre backs to watch in the world. Like in the next 5 years, France could be using Jules Koundé and William Saliba at centre back, and they will be unbeatable. Like if Benoit Badiashile doesn't improve massively, I think Saliba and Jules Koundé will be playing at centre back for France. Of course, they do have other options as well. So France is not, is not a side to decide for who's going to play at centre back. But Jules Koundé is massively better than Benjamin White. His ability on the ball, his ability to find those long passes, he's so comfortable in those wide areas, defending 1v1. And I think Ben White was exposed a couple of times last campaign. Of course, Koundé was exposed as well, especially in the UEFA Champions League. But I think Koundé is solid, is more solid, and he's a much better player going forward. So still, I've gone with Jules Koundé, another FC Barcelona player. Left back, there are no questions here. It's Alexander Zinchenko. I do like Alejandro Balde, and Balde has got a lot in his locker. He's got a lot to offer as a player, but he's still very young, and I think his game still has a lot of things to learn. He's got a lot of things to learn as a player. So Alexander Zinchenko and what we saw last campaign, tucking into the midfield, helping out with with Arsenal's progressive part of the game, creating chances, breaking deadlocks. He's a super player. Like he's a super player. He's a midfielder lining up as as a left back, and all the creativity you want from your left back, you will get it. All the progressiveness you want from your fullback, you will get it. Where I would definitely think that Balde is slightly better is in terms of defense. I think Balde is much better when the team loses possession, but still, I will go with Alexander Zinchenko there. So it's kind of 50-50 at the moment, and I think I'm being fair. Like, to be honest, I think I'm being very fair. In midfield, Sergio Busquets is gone now. They have Frank Kessié. They have Frankie de Jong in that position as well. So I think those are the two options. What do we have? We have Rice and we have Thomas Partey in those situations. And this one is a difficult one. This one is a very difficult one. I do like Frankie de Jong, but I don't think we've seen him enough in this position at FC Barcelona to guarantee that he's one of the better midfielders of Partey and Rice. And because we're going to go with what I'm really sure of and what we've seen last season, I'm going to go with Thomas Partey here. I don't think Declan Rice and what he has done at West Ham definitely becomes a single pivot when we are combining our midfields as FC Barcelona and Arsenal. But I think Partey gets in there, right? I think Partey, because Sergio Busquets has gone, Partey just sneaks in there, like just sneaks in there. I don't think he massively overwhelms Frankie de Jong. Okay, I don't think he massively overwhelms Frankie de Jong, but he just sneaks in there. He sneaks in there. So I've gone with Thomas Partey in that midfield pivot. Alongside him is the genius, the Spanish metronome, Pedri. Pedri is a no-brainer. He's got to be in that midfield. He's one of the youngest central midfielders that are a joy to watch. Like, I think him and Musiala and Saka are the future of football. I think they are the future of football. And because they have not yet gotten these crazy egos and they have not picked up these, crazy huge amounts of money yet, like Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, we might see the best of the game when we come down from all that craziness of Haaland and Mbappe. When we come down and watch Pedri, Saka, Martinelli, and the likes of, maybe Gavi, and Musiala, that is when we will see the best of football. But Pedri, of course, Xhaka leaves. Kai Havertz and Declan Rice are not to the levels of Pedri. So you look at his ability on the ball. You look at his ability to pass the ball. Actually, let us add the other one in this pocket of space, who is actually Martin Odegaard. If Odegaard wasn't playing for Madrid, I reckon Barcelona could have signed him, right? But right, it is what it is. So in midfield, I've gone with Partey, Odegaard, and my boy Pedri. I kind of feel like there should be another Barcelona player there, but it's Busquets, and Busquets has gone to Inter Miami. So Arsenal dominate the midfield with Partey and Odegaard, Pedri representing FC Barcelona. On the left wing, you have Martinelli, you have Trossard, right? Martinelli, Trossard. For FC Barcelona, I think predominantly they played Dembele there. When he picked up an injury, they struggled a little bit. So they played Dembele. They've also played Ansu Fati there. So those are the two players that you can think about. Dembele, Ansu Fati. Now, technically, in terms of brilliance, Dembele is the better player. So in terms of brilliance, in terms of speed, lightning quick, ability on the ball, he's much better. But who is more productive? Is it Dembele? Is it Trossard? Is it Martinelli? And this is where I'm going to be very controversial. I think Fati is out of the picture because of the injuries he's suffered in the last 2 years. So Fati is out of the picture. He's not a starter at Barca. It is between Dembele, Martinelli, and Trossard. From what I've seen with Leandro Trossard, I love him. I really, really do. But would I start him over Martinelli every single day? Probably not. I still like the idea of Martinelli holding the width of the pitch and isolating players, and his electric speed. So it's now between Martinelli and Dembele. Dembele is also really speedy, and you talk about electricity, you talk about electrification. He's your guy. So this one, I'm going to go Martinelli. I'm just going to go Martinelli because I still think there is that kind of, there is that kind of season he had that Dembele didn't have. Overall, it's Dembele, right? It's just so hard, isn't it? It's just so hard. But let's go Dembele, right? Let's go Dembele. He's the better player. Like we've got to agree. Dembele is the much better player. Like his time at Borussia Dortmund, his time when he's fit at FC Barcelona, a crucial cog in that Xavi team. Dembele. I've gone with Dembele. I've really gone with Dembele. I had gone with Martinelli, but it's just one season. I think I've seen Dembele enough to prove that if he's fit, he's one of the best players in the best attackers in Europe. Right wing, Saka versus Rafinha and Ferran Torres. Rafinha has not hit the ground running at Barcelona the way we expected, but he's done his contribution. He's had his contribution, hard. So I think Xavi will be oscillating between, do I let him go or do I keep playing him? And I think he was a very good signing. He's a very good signing because he plays just like Saka, inverted as well, creates a lot of chances, and he's also got that eye for goal. Okay, at centre forward, it's a no-brainer. It's Robert Lewandowski, isn't it? This one is a no-brainer because Lewandowski is one of the players that he's one of the players that can be considered legends of the game. We can consider him a legend of the game when it comes to strikers and players in general. So that is my probably controversial combined 11. Arsenal, Barcelona, Ter Stegen in goal, Koundé, Araujo, Saliba, Zinchenko, Pedri, Partey, Odegaard, Dembele, Lewandowski, Saka. I think Arsenal are really well represented here. We are really well represented. We have a player in every department. And I think there could be changes to be made as well. Like there could be changes if we had a more if we had a better season or sorry, if you had seen Timber for a season, I would I would include Timber there, right? I would include Timber, but I would feel safer with with Jules Kunde in the team. And of course, if you feel that Martinelli is much better than Dembele, then go for Dembele. I don't have a problem with that. But that is my combined 11.